Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Okay, let's see who is in. Kilcook Monty, Janice Windsor, and just you two. That's it so far. All right, so everybody else is going to miss out, and they'll just have to go back. I actually started on time. I may be shocked, everybody. Kai Lucas Zachary's in. All right, so the first one on the list. Let's see how organized I am not. This one is from Thomas Larson. See who else is here. Paul NE9, Moonlit Illusion, Silver E55 are also in. All right, so two Congos. There's two Congos now. Democratic Republic of the Congo and Republic of the Congo are two separate countries. I had to check to make sure that this is not some new thing that I somehow missed. But nope, it's been that way for a long time, since before I was born. In 1960, French Congo received independence, and so did Belgium Congo. So I guess colonial France had one section, and colonial Belgium, don't remember Belgium being part of the colonial spiel, but apparently here they were, carved up different areas. And then in 1960, those two areas became independent. One became Republic of the Congo, and one became Democratic Republic of the Congo. The weirdest part is I don't remember either of those being countries. I remember it being the Congo in general, and it just meant like a certain foresty, jungly region. They would call it the Congo, like the Alps or something. It wasn't, I don't even remember that being a country at all. It was just a regional thing. But now there's two of them. There definitely was not two. I don't even remember there being one. So yeah, who remembers there being two separate Congos? I mean, that's the kind of thing you'd think you'd remember too, because it's just weird, just very weird. Let's see, you guys talking about a commemorative Ellis Island quarter. Used to say New York, but now it says New Jersey. Yeah, I've been wondering how long it was going to take for the ME to start shopping around the fact that it's not New York anymore. Because it was pretty much under the radar for the last few years. Like when Haas avocados changed to Haas avocados, right after we noticed that it had changed, most grocery stores really quickly got onto the new era bandwagon, and within a year, almost all of the mentionings of that avocado were correct. But that hasn't been the case for Ellis Island. It's been a lot slower. Let's see who else is in. David Cook, Plume, Andy Chuang, Darkwolf Sten, T-Box. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so that was from Thomas Larson, the two Congos. That one's actually pretty weird for me. All right, this weird, cool jellyfish thing, looking even weirder than weird. I'm not going to play too long on that one, but that is halitrephes jellyfish. Christina Gerald saw that one. Oh, very good, but I don't want to play too much video because they're very picky on more than a few seconds of video. All right, this one is from Julie Holcomb. This is a really weird one too. All right, so they made this Sundance movie, A Night at the Garden. And what is it about? Well, apparently in 1939, 20,000 Americans rallied in New York's Madison Square Garden to celebrate the rise of Nazism. This is an event largely forgotten from American history. Of course, it's largely forgotten. All kinds of stuff is coming up, and it's always forgotten or newly released or just found or hiding in plain sight, forgotten in a museum, just got dug up from underground, found in a drawer, found in a basement, something. Anyway, so this person made this movie from some archival footage. So I don't know. There's not a lot to add except for apparently that's America not marching for Nazi Germany. The swastika is still flipped the other way from my old timeline. There's a lot of talk about, can't believe I didn't know about this. These aren't like special Nazi like subgroups or, this is basically was supposedly just average Americans too. So, yeah, I don't know. Everything's got to get denigrated in this timeline, just seems like. Another example, I don't know if you guys have been watching the news. As usual, it's depressing. But Ronald Reagan, some old footage just surfaced, of course. Let's dig this up. Now, whatever political beliefs you may have had about Reagan, one way or the other, I've never heard any statement from him that wasn't gentlemanly. He was known for having a good sense of humor. Even people who were on the opposite side of the politics couldn't help but laugh at his soft-spoken humor and fast-thinking wit and gentlemanly behavior. But apparently now he called Africans, when he was talking to Nixon, he called Africans monkeys, uncomfortable wearing shoes, and baloney like that. Supposedly this footage was just recently released, newly released audio. Can be heard when making racist remarks on a phone call with Richard Nixon. So supposedly they released this before, but somehow they edited out all the racist junk. I don't know. I think this is just another example of basically everybody that is famous, especially dead people who can't complain about it because they're dead, are being raked over the coals. Monuments, people, historical figures, everybody. I just can't really even imagine Reagan saying that. I mean, I definitely had my issues with some of his policies, but I can't even imagine. It's just completely out of character of anything that you'd ever heard of from him. So, I don't know. I remember Congo just being a jungle area, not really official local. Yes. Moonlit Illusion remembers the Congo the same as me. It was the Congo. It was just an area of jungle. It was on different countries. It was just a big area. Now it's two countries. Wouldn't roll out the Reagan news. I just don't. If it was just Reagan, I go, well, yeah, you don't know everybody and they're in politics. So some of them are not going to be as nice as you think, right? But it's everybody, every historical figure. I mean, even like we covered the Dalai Lama. I mean, that's got to be the last person that you would ever think would make sexist and racist remarks. Even that guy. So in light of all that, I don't trust this Reagan thing. If it was just Reagan or one or two others, but no, it's everybody and everything just about. There's almost nothing. I mean, I was even saying like Lincoln hadn't been touched, but now he's like, he supported slavery and he was gay and this and that. And, I'm like, so no. So I think it's just too much in the pattern. Seemed like a nice chap, but essentially a buffoon. Well, he wasn't the first in politics like that. I just can't, if you told me he was made bad decisions, he forgot, he had Alzheimer's, whatever, but there's just absolutely no indication that he ever spoke crudely. It just seems so weird. But this Dalai Lama stuff is completely outside of the way he's acting now. Is completely different than he ever was before. He was very educated and scholarly, and well-spoken, and of all things Buddhist in my old timeline, and he's none of those things here. I guess I'm going to have to go back to the Animaniacs World Song of Countries because I don't remember two Congos in there. Yeah, I know. You would be like, Congos, Congos? What the heck? Lincoln is gay. Well, they didn't come right out and say it, but the sabers are starting to rattle. Supposedly there were rumors then. I think I covered, if you look at last week's episode, they made a statue of him looking really gay, and they're just, I think that they're gonna, I think that's the way they're heading with him. Plus, like I said, he now no longer supported, he in the way he did once, he did not anymore support the freedom for all slaves, only for some of them, and that was not the case in my old timeline. I mean, yeah, I mean, the Reagan thing, in light of the Dalai Lama thing and all the others, no, it's just and it so follows what we're seeing, because suddenly this footage from, 50, 60, 70 years suddenly comes out of the woodwork and makes him look like a total putz or a total jerk or a total something. And that's just how it's been. I mean, why didn't it come out long? Everything's like coming out now out of nowhere. Like, why? I don't know. It just, all these weird sources. Lincoln did not act to ban slavery. You know what? He banned slavery in the southern states, but not in the northern states. The northern states did not ban slavery in this timeline, and he didn't ban slavery in the northern states, only in the southern states. So yeah, he didn't totally ban it anymore. In fact, the old thing where the slaves were trying to escape north, that's changed quite a bit. Now they were going north to Canada to escape slavery, not north to the northern end of the United States to escape slavery. So the Underground Railroad now is got a whole different story about where they went to. I covered that one like a month ago. Black supermoon tonight, not reported much, but another black supermoon? T-Box found a black supermoon. Are you serious? Black supermoon. Black. So what is it, like you can't see it, but it's super? Black moon Wednesday offers exceptional sky. Black supermoon, what does that mean? Rare black moon Wednesday. Weird. Black supermoon. It's a supermoon in stealth mode. That's a good thing for space fans. It's invisible. The term black moon is an old nickname given to the second new moon in a given calendar month. If you remember your moon phases, you know a new moon occurs when the sun's light falls on the far side of the moon we don't see. Well, in this timeline, that's the story. In my old timeline, it was that the Earth's shadow covered the moon, but now it's the sun is behind the moon. The Western Hemisphere is getting a second new moon Wednesday, just before the calendar flips to August. Making the celestial happening all the more intriguing is that the black moon comes when the moon is near its closest point to our planet along the orbit, so it's a supermoon. To actually see this black supermoon, you would require special equipment, but it does offer remarkable skies to see other things. 2 meteor showers are currently still near their peaks this week. Yeah, there's meteor showers and supermoons, and colored moons are a dime a dozen in this timeline. But I'm going to write that down because first reported, at least for me, mentioning of black supermoon. Good find, good find, good find. There's a color, even when there's not a color these days. They're demonizing the good men and women of history. Yeah, pretty much. Anybody that anybody liked. Mother Teresa. That's actually kind of a pretty old one. I've heard bad things about Mother Teresa for like 10 years now. Oh, human trafficking. Oh, last I heard, um, she just didn't give good medical treatment or painkillers to anybody and thought that suffering was good for you. Um, I didn't hear about this human trafficking thing. All right, let's just check that out. That's a whole nother deal there. And they also used to say, for the last maybe 10 years ago, I started to hear that she was really just kind of a, wasn't that kind of person. She wasn't that nice. I'm not paying, so let's go over here. India orders examination of all institutions run by her charity after claims against 2 staff. Okay, so that's more recent though, isn't it? So these are just workers. They are workers that worked for Mother Teresa. So it's woman connected to Mother Teresa's charity accused of trafficking. All right, let's just see what they have to say about Mother Teresa. Nope, they won't let me have this one. All right, I'm not finding anything about Mother Teresa herself. All right, it looks like it's more of a modern day thing. I mean, I can't really blame Mother Teresa for something that happened after she died. There's always going to be problem people anytime there's a large organization, but it does bear keeping an eye on that. I mean, there has been more and more stuff about how she didn't use that much money to really help people and that kind of thing. I've been hearing more and more saber rattling about that. I wouldn't be surprised if it got worse, just because, like I said, everybody's getting the axe lately. But it does not look like Mother Teresa herself has in any way been implicated in that, at least not thus far. All right, 2 Congos, got that, got you, Black Supermoon, Reagan. All right. All right, so the night at the garden, the March for the Nazis was from Julie Holcomb, good find. Halitrephes jellyfish was from Christina Gerald. The 2 Congos were from Thomas Larson. And the that weird creature, the jellyfish, was Esmeralda Bauer. And I'm the one who found that Reagan one, although I'm sure you'll all hear about it soon enough. All right, this is another one from Eva. I just ran across this. Couple things. All right, I'm going to start with this one. So, well, maybe I'll start with this one. Okay, the polygonal, I call it polygonal. I'm not sure if they call it polygonal here or polygonal stonework. I saw this one about 4 years ago. There was just one location in the world that had these stones. They're not just rectangles. They're somehow fit into each other all perfectly, like the pyramid stones used to, except for that they were rectangles. Now the pyramid stones look like crap. But so first there was they didn't have a word for it. They just said irregular stones. But I've noticed the last year or so they're called polygonal or polygonal stoneworks. So first there was just this one location of it, and now it's like all over the place. And the other thing I've noticed just recently is a lot of them are getting these weird bumps and stuff. They're getting weirder, and the stones are getting more weirder angles more and more. So there's these bumps. That's the first thing. This one is in Cuzco. So this is an interesting Lost Civilization of the Andes, David Pratt, June 10. You might want to check this out. I really need to get into this and read more up on it. It's a real long thing. It's showing the angles are getting weirder and weirder here. You can see that they're not even, they're like curved more and more. I'm wondering if we'll see more and more just curves instead of just sharp angles. This is the first I've seen like that now and here. Another thing I've never seen before until just this week is these weird indents. Now, the kind of storyline that they're kind of pushing or surmising is that somehow these stones were like melted and they were like cement. And there's now a great deal of evidence that would kind of lead you in that direction. All these indent marks on these. And like I said before, these weird bumps on them, and there's some of them are having indents. When these first came out, and even like last year, there were no bumps like that. All right, so see, look, a lot of them have the bumps now. And who knows what those are going to turn out to be. They're also all over. So these are granite casings of Menkauri's pyramid. Giza got the bumps. Now, they're not polygonal stones. But this is weird because they're all like, they kind of segue over. I don't know if this is supposed to be repair work here, but they've got the bumps now. Didn't used to. We're seeing more and more with the saw marks on the ancient works. See, there's saw marks here. Tool marks when they weren't supposed to have such tools. This is another thing. The last 2 years there have been these where they cut in these grooves, and then there was supposed to be like metal pins. That's just been the last 2 years. There were no metal pins in the old timeline. Most of this stuff I've never even seen or heard of. Pisac ruins. You can see now there's more and more curves and weird little pieces and stuff to these polygonal stones. Look at that one. Part of a wall in Cusco. 14 angles. I had not seen anything like that. There's more and more of these cutouts, keyhole shapes. Old timeline didn't have any. Then there was just one in the world. Now we're seeing them all over. Doorway of Aramu Muru. Okay, look, more curves. All right, another story they're getting now. This is a broken off part on the top. They're saying that the stone is like vitrified. It's kind of weirdly shiny. Now, they wouldn't have a reason to polish this if it was going to be hidden next to another stone. Indeed, it's more shiny here than it is out there. Why is it shiny? What kind of stone cutting makes it all shiny? I'll tell you, I don't know of any. You know, I work with stones and regular sanding, you know, diamond sanding, any of that kind of stuff. It does not make the stone shiny. unless you first make it a super high polish, like totally no pores, and then you can kind of polish it with some of the polishing compounds. But this stone is rough yet shiny. It's weird here. This is not mirror finish. I mean, I can shine a stone up if you make it a mirror finish, but I don't know how to make it shiny yet rough. That is not anything I know. Okay, so here's more of these polygonal stones at Sakasaihuaman. Notice there's dents, and there's these weird rectangle dents in there. That there weren't any polygonal walls that had that until recently. This thing, precise machine granite block next to Caffrey's Valley Temple. There was nothing like that in Egypt before for me. That looks like a modern thing, but supposedly it's ancient. Again, more these bumps. More bumps. This is interesting. Polygonal retaining wall at Delphi, Greece. So now we've got them in Greece. They're a little bit different style, but look, they're perfectly fit into each other again. This one here, where's this one at? Polygonal walls at Necromantion, Oracle of Death, Ephyra, Greece. So, yeah, there just wasn't, there'd be rocks just stacked up in piles, but they didn't fit in all perfect and not be rectangle in my old timeline. Just really weird. All right, so this one is a tiny patch. So there's these monster stones, and there's a patch just the size of a finger. This patch is 2 feet long. They cut a 2-foot long tiny sliver of a rock that fits perfectly in between these other two. And they said it's dark because everybody keeps touching it. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. 2 foot. So they couldn't leave a hole that big. They patched it with a 2-foot long sliver of rock. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to do that, that kind of skill even today. All right, so here we got more weird polygonal stones with these bumpy things. What would be the purpose of these? If you have a wall, the last thing you want to do is leave a bump for feet to go on. Rock climbers. So I have yet to hear any explanation for why these bumps are here. I'm sure we're going to get at least a conspiracy theory. Now they're showing these kind of weird pressed-in areas here. Just weird. You can see the extent of the walls. There was just like maybe 25% of these when I first saw my first polygonal wall. All right, so here we've got all these dent marks in them. All here. More weird dent marks. More weird. Somewhere. Okay, this is a patch. A smaller stone patched this weird hole. They patched it. It's weird. I've never seen this thing before. Most of these images, I've never seen this. Benches, gouged out of solid rock. Slides. I think you can argue that one's natural, but I don't know. Oh, here's these. I've never seen these until I saw one about 6 months ago, maybe. Kenko. So out of a solid rock, big rock, they carved these weird labyrinth thingies with lots of art and everything all in here. 4-meter high, jagged monolith. So now there's a bunch of these. I saw my first one like 6 months ago. You can go inside this one apparently. So Kenkos are a thing. From Quechua word meaning labyrinth or zigzag. So more and more of those. There's another one of those. I'm pretty sure that's a Kenko also. I didn't read this whole thing, but apparently they've mapped out Yonaguni now. That's that area off of Japan where they're always arguing over if it's man-made or natural. Tambo Makai, more polygonal walls. I have not seen a lot where they had the big stones mixed with the small stones like this, too. It's kind of a new one for me. All right, so these ones here now, they're going around a corner. As if it wasn't complicated enough, they've got these stones curved slowly. They don't just go at right angles. They're curving around. So this one stone right here, it not only has to fit all the other wall, but it curves around. Just beautiful stonework in here. There's more of those weird bump things. Look at this. I've just saw this maybe last month. The Wall of 6 Monoliths. Southwest wall of the Sun Temple. These are giant rocks here with thin rocks in between them. And then the bumps again. What's up with the bumps? Weird. There's another bump. There's like, seems like more deliberate there. Excuse me. Another polygonal block has 32 angles in it. Good luck doing that. All right, let's see. I think we're getting to the one. You know, before you would just assume that they were forced into making them this weird angle, but now I think they're trying to say that they were melted somehow. There's a whole bunch of lore now that they were melted. Okay, somewhere there was one I wanted to find. Let's see if I can find it. Anyway, this whole article is fairly interesting. There's a lot in here. Oh, okay, I guess I'm done. Oh, no, there's still more. Alright, so there's some artist renderings of how these gates are put together. I've never seen this. Okay, that's reconstructed wall of Kalasaya. Huh, I've never seen that. This one showed up about 3 years ago. Gateway of the Sun. I'd never seen it before that. The ruins at Pumapunku are getting a lot more sophisticated. Used to be just kind of blocks. I've never seen this. Portals with carved architraves are found in Iran and India. This one's one that showed up with the Temple of the Sun about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It was the first keyhole ones I saw, but now they're all over the place. See, I have not seen this one before. Almost all of these in here I have not seen. This thing going here. Hadn't seen that one either. Alright, I think that's it. Also, walls of India. Yes, there's just in those step wells. I'm always talking about those step wells. Those are so amazing. Need inputs in. Welcome. Need input. Bit of venom is in. Nano ArtsNet drawing. PG2424. Andy Chuang. Maria. All right. Have you tried out an onsen bath yet? I know those look, that probably would be one of the neatest things in Japan. Hopefully it wouldn't cost a gajillion dollars. Okay, so this is one that I actually, that one I just scrolled through, I found by accident when I was looking into this. So I'm just going to play a little piece of it. So you've got one of these polygonal wall things, and this is, let me see, where did I say this was from? I wrote it down. Blah, blah, blah. From Tambo Machay, which I believe is spelled Tambomachay. So you've got polygonal walls, but what's going on here? Weirdly, it's if you do, I looked and looked for a close-up of this, and I really couldn't find one that wasn't behind a bunch of firewalls of advertising and crap, and there was only one, and it was only on for a second. But basically, it really does look like somehow this was melted in here. Like they had a whole nice wall. They have a whole nice wall here, and then you can see that there's evidence that of lines that these were also cut stones in here, but somehow they melted. Oh, Belinda, $10. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to play this little clip. I took off the sound, and hopefully I won't get a copyright. But he's gonna zone in on this section here, and basically he's just talking about how it looks like it melted. There's really not much else to it. Should probably try to make it full screen though. All right, so if you look at it, you can see it looks like there was bricks in here and stuff. This is the only one I could find that really showed it. So it really looks like there's square, see there's bricks in there, they're partially melted. That was like a brick and then it wasn't. It's really weird. All right, so basically we've got a ton of evidence that they melted bricks there. This is from Melted Stonework in Peru, Proof of Ancient War by Titanium Lotus, posted 10 months ago. Very, very interesting. So this whole Tambo Machay is an ancient site located within Peru. The evidence that's coming out of the woodwork out of nowhere, basically, that they could somehow melt stone, and there's getting to be really good evidence for it. I mean, none of this stuff existed in my old timeline. And, I used to always wonder why there would be these weird anomalies and all the scientists would just ignore them. But, it hasn't gotten any better in this timeline, but it's like, how many people even heard of this now? This is so weird. Just weird. Looks like a frog. Woo, I like that chime you have. The way my computer's set up, I can barely hear it because it ends up going through my headphones. And if my headphones aren't plugged in, then my mic doesn't work. And don't ask me how to fix all that. I gave up. I know it works like this. The only problem is if I want to hear much, I have to put my headphones on when I'm streaming. So half the time I don't hear the chime, but it was, I set it up a long time ago through some website, and I can't even remember the name of it now. That's the worst part. Gotta do a live show now that I don't have work. Yeah, why not? What do you? I assume you're just off for a bit. There was a bell found in million-years-old coal from a previous reset. I do remember some rumors about some of that stuff, but there was no images of it. Joanne Williams is on. So let's see. Coal, bell found in coal. So there wasn't a lot of evidence for a lot of this stuff in my old timeline. You just hear some kind of article on it. But photograph of the bell I found in coal. So there's the bell. How do we know it was found in coal? Interesting. I'll have to look into that more. I'm not seeing a ton of proof of that it was in there. So, I mean, in this timeline, who the heck knows, though? I mean, in the old timeline, probably say it was just a hoax, but who knows in this timeline? I'm so tired, but I can't sleep. I feel satisfied after seeing the changes. Yeah, I don't know. My sleep-awake cycle is trash. I get sleepy during the day. Middle of the night, I wake up. I'm not sleepy. I've tried like 100 different things. I really think I'm just, my brain waves are messed up or something. That narcolepsy thing is a big deal in this timeline. And I think it might be. I wonder... I mean, first there was chronic fatigue syndrome. Now there's narcolepsy. I wonder how much of it is just basically an excuse for shifting and feeling sick from that. I don't know. I really don't. Oh, you're on summer break. That's why. Yeah. Hoaxes and myths are the new facts. Yeah, it certainly seems like that. I always wake up at 3 or 3:30. Yes! Yes, and my 3 or 3:30 is probably not your 3 or 3:30, but that is usually when I wake up. And then I get really fatigued around then, too. Sometimes it's 2 p.m., the opposite 12 hours, like 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. I get really, really fatigued. Yeah, there's been more and more complaints about the sleep problems. Frankly, I've been experimenting with mild stimulants during the day because it's just got hard to get anything done. Um, two to 4:30 is when I used to get a lot of my work done. Um, it's just easier with like ephedra or artificial ephedra, which is the primatine mist tablets, something like that. Caffeine doesn't do anything for me, so I can't really use caffeine. I used to fall asleep really easily too, and now sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just totally tired all day. Other days I'm tired all day and then I'm wide awake starting at 6 p.m. And then at 1 a.m. I'm not sleepy, and it's just such a problem. I feel tired all the time, pills or not. It has helped me so far. I've just been experimenting with ECA stack. I don't know if you guys know that one. I probably would have been the last one to ever advocate something like this, but I've just tried so many things with healthy eating, and none of it is putting I could eat crap food. I could eat healthy food. And the problem just stays the same. I mean, if it's food related, then I should get way worse when I eat crappy, but it doesn't. All right, ECA stack. It's a mix of ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin. You can look it up. So it's E is for ephedrine, C is for caffeine, A is for aspirin. Most people just use the EC part of it, ephedrine, caffeine. Caffeine by itself won't do anything for me. Ephedrine, I used to take it all the time for aspirin, for asthma, so I'm pretty familiar with ephedrine. Basically, it's primatine mist tablets or Broncaid tablets. You can get them from the pharmacy in America. It's over-the-counter stuff. But when you mix the two, the caffeine kind of prolongs the effect of the ephedrine. That's why they mix the two. Like any stimulant, it's going to cause higher heart rate, stuff like that. I personally have a lot of experience with the ephedrine, and I don't experience a lot of those side effects. But, there's always a risk with any stimulants, any drugs, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to put that in there. But these have been helping me. It's not like I'm perfectly normal, but I do feel a lot better. I try to schedule it when I'm at work so I can get a lot of work done instead of staring like a zombie at the computer, and it has been working. So there you go. I don't know what to say. I want to say everybody just get plenty of sleep and eat healthy, but I've been trying that for the last few years, and it's just getting worse. So I cry uncle. I'm a calf. I'm caffeine. Bit of venom is also caffeine immune. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't do anything for me by itself. I would never know if I took caffeine or not. I could take a bunch and just sleep instantly. But mixed with ephedra, what it basically does is it keeps the ephedra operating longer. It's kind of it's a reuptake inhibitor. It kind of blocks your system from clearing out the effects of the ephedra. So by itself, it won't do anything, but it does prolong the ephedra. I do notice a difference in the strength of the ephedra. Seems like anything I use, I hear some negative crap about it right after. Whatever you do, there's always going to be somebody out there who says that it's dumb or wrong. And usually it's somebody who doesn't know much about it and has never tried it. And I don't know. At some point, I just got to do what I got to do. I got some pills from my doctor. I might take them for a few weeks if my inflammation doesn't go away. Well, I hope it works for you, De La Noye. My friends, for years, I had problems with, they would call them sinus infections. I always just thought it was weird. She did feel kind of like a headachy thing. And they would just somehow decide it was a sinus infection, even though she wasn't coughing or anything. And she actually could breathe through her nose, but it was up in, you have sinuses all up in here, so I guess, but they didn't do any x-rays or anything, but they would decide it's a sinus infection. They give her a bunch of pills, and she would take them, and then very slowly she would get better, and I'd be like, are those pills even doing anything? Because it just seemed like, if you wait 2 months and finally get better, was it really the pills, or were you going to get better anyway? So this whole sinus infection thing, and then it just seemed like chronic fatigue to me. She'd be tired for 2 months and finally get better, and then 2 months later she'd get tired again, and I don't know. It just seems like there's all these words for things. Narcolepsy, they're basically saying your brain waves are weird. They're active at the wrong times at night, and they're sleepy at the wrong times during the day. They don't know why. They've got a fancy word for it. Chronic fatigue syndrome, you're tired all the time. They don't know why. They got a fancy word for it. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of these lately. Every time I get headaches, I feel dizzy, no energy. Not long after, I notice big Mandela Effects. It definitely seems like that. And then, of course, I've got 10 million Emmys to talk about in my live stream, but I feel like I want to keel over and die. And then later, when I feel more spry and I feel like talking, there's not many to talk about. It's but it's just been getting worse. I don't know, I don't know if it's ME or all the shifts, or if it's just I've got some illness, but go to the doctor, they say I'm perfectly healthy. Convince yourself something is good, and it will be, it seems. I agree with you, but I just, all this time I've been sort of in denial, because whenever I'm starting to feel good, I'm like, that's it, I'm over it, I'm going to feel good, when I feel healthy, I feel so healthy, and I just don't even believe I'll ever be sick again, but every time it comes back, so I've gone as far as I can with the psychology of it. I just, there's so often when I'm sure I figured it out, I'm going to be good. And if it's psychology, I don't know how to fix it. I cry uncle. And yeah, that's the other thing. When I feel sick, I also feel extremely negative. That really didn't used to be the case if I had an illness. You'd obviously feel crappy because you feel crappy. You're not in a great mood if you have a headache and your nose is stuffy and you're tired. But there's really strong component now of just, I want to say it's like depression. It's like negative thinking. It's just, and I can see it when it's happening, and I can see how dumb it is. And I'll start being like, what's the point of life? I'm like, why am I even thinking this? And I have to fight. because I have to say, look, I've got a good business, I got a decent house, I've got food, I don't have any major issues in my life, and I have to keep reminding myself of that because it just suddenly gets so hard to remember all that. And even when I'm doing it, I'm like, this is silly. I don't even have a reason to be this upset. And I know it's ridiculous. And then later when I'm over it, I'm like, what was my problem? It's like I gotten bipolar or something, but it doesn't really fit it, because when you're bipolar, you have this manic phase and you're like stupid and you do all this stupid stuff. And I don't get that. So also the other thing is I can feel crappy for really crappy, and 3 hours later I'll feel great. So I don't know of any sickness that could really do that, where I even looked into hypoglycemia. It's not that. I blood test every time I felt crappy. I would test my blood for low blood sugar. Never anywhere near low blood sugar. All my blood sugar has always been great. It's never been too high, it's never been too low. No matter how crappy I feel, I check and my blood sugar is like 100. It's like right in the middle. So I don't know. Even hypothyroid, it's not, you don't like spiral up and down, feeling crappy, feeling great, feeling crappy, feeling great, like 4 times in a day. So I just don't know. Gratitude for the small things. Yeah, I have to really fight when I'm in the bad mood. When I'm in the good mood, it's easy, because I don't have that much to complain about. I really don't. Sunny here now and thundering. I've been seeing a lot of that in the last year. Um, And I've seen a lot of images of lightning on the internet in blue skies. I never saw lightning in blue skies before. They'll have thunder, and it'll look like it's raining, but there'll be sun on the other. The weather's just getting weirder. For you Americans, what about Hunger Buster now being Hunger Buster? I've never heard of Hunger Buster, so I don't know that one. Joanne Williams, you getting that shock problem? I've had that on and off the last 10 years. Touching things and getting shocked. Like a really hard static shock. Like it hurts. I'll go through this streak. I had it for like a year. I actually got afraid to touch the car because every time I get out of the car, I touch it. Bzz. I started doing it with my elbow because elbow is not so sensitive when you get the shock. And then it'd be gone, and then it would come back. I've actually haven't had it in a while. It's been a few months, and then it only lasted like a few weeks last time, but. All right, so where am I? I do have quite a bit left. All right. This one trips me out because I know that this was not in the old timeline. Now, I think I covered maybe a month or two ago the albino trees. If you remember the albino trees, they locked roots in with the photosynthesizing trees, and they would get nutrients. The other trees would feed them, and then there was this weird story about the albino trees were purging poison out of the soil, and freaking albino trees. Okay, so now we've got a tree stump that's alive. It's got no leaves. Within a shrouded New Zealand forest, a tree stump keeps itself alive by holding onto the roots of neighboring trees, exchanging water and resources through the grafted root system. New research details how surrounding trees keep tree stumps alive, possibly in exchange for access to larger root systems. The findings suggest a shift from the perception of trees as individuals towards understanding forest ecosystems as superorganisms. Okay, so there's this freaking tree stump. Shoot, I'm not seeing the article. That there is a photo of it somewhere. It's got no leaves or anything. It's just a dead stump, except for it never died. It's all alive. I guess the story is it had all these roots that were attached to all its neighbors, and the neighbors can attach to its roots and use all its roots. Now, I don't get how the neighbors use its roots, because it used to be that the way I was taught is that the water evaporates from the top leaves and pulls the water from below up, because water like pulls its neighboring molecules. So as the water evaporated from the top, it would pull the water up from below. So if it doesn't have any, so here's the stump that the water's getting around from, say this thing has a root way over here, and then this tree is attached over here. I mean, how is it sucking water through this tree up here, then back down, and then, I'm having a little bit of trouble imagining it, because all those roots would go to this tree. The tree stump is pretty much dead. I don't see any cambium alive around here much, maybe a little bit over here. So how would this connect up to this tree over here? I have trouble imagining it. I'm sure the ME will come up with a plausible story, though. But all right, so anyway, so yeah, stumps aren't dead now, apparently, or they might not be. Albino trees and living stumps. Yeah, Moonlit Illusion, you didn't see the albino trees one? Albino trees. Da-da-da. So it's the same kind of a thing. They were saying that it would get its nutrients from the neighbors, because there's a whole bunch of images of these albino trees. Looks like there's even more of them than last time I looked. Some of them are part albino. Some of them are full-on albino. So look at this albino tree here. Without photosynthesis, there would be no way for it to get food. But supposedly the neighbors all lend their and I have trouble also. If these guys are photosynthesizing, how are they getting food back down here? Isn't the flow one way up through the photosynthesis? How is it that it is reversing its nutrients? I don't know. There must be more to the story than what I once learned, obviously. Alright. I can't believe there's that many of them, though. I mean, there can't be that many, can there? Because there was just one at a time before. Okay, it's just wallpaper, but interesting. What the heck is that thing? Okay, I think that's just some weird art. Alright, anyway, yes. Need inputs off. See you later. Dream of albino trees. Down syndrome found in animals. Silver E55. I covered that one last week. I looked into it, and they said it was just inaccurate meme, and that these animals, several animals, had some inbreeding problems, but it wasn't Down syndrome. So far that's not real, at least so far. Anytime a meme takes off like that, though, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll say, "Oh, that's not right. It's only partially right," or something, or it'll be like a lead off for some ME thing. Albino coconut trees. How is there so many of them? Is this art again? Burp. Fantasy. Okay, so that's not real. You know, you have to look into everything now. Tongue structures hanging down from diaphragm. All right, let's check it out. Tongues. Okay. All right, I see what you're talking about, I think. Looks like the diaphragm itself is just curving around. It's been doing that for a while. Chest organs. Let me just leave out the hanging down part. We talk about this. The 4 diaphragms of the body. It's just, it looks like it's, interesting. It's curved down more and more and more. That used to just be a straight across kind of a deal, the diaphragm. More like that. I'm not sure if I'm finding the exact same thing. It definitely looks different than the last time I looked. Just more of these weird bump pattern down here. Unless it's this. Greater nerve azygos vein. No. Lumbar, costal, and sternal portions of the muscular diaphragm. Oh, maybe it's this thing. Doink. Interesting. Okay, so I think we're talking about these. Yeah, I don't remember this. Of course, now I can't find out what it is. Oh, here. Okay. Yep, yeah, no. This is way bent down more, too. Way bent down more. All right, let's look at this 3D model thing here. Time is really fast. August, all right. I know we're already more than halfway to Christmas. Oh, yeah. Let's see if we can find something that explains it. Tongues. Yeah, anyway, yes, I don't know if I call those tongues, but I don't remember them things. Last time I looked, no. It's not in all the pictures yet, but yeah, good find, definitely. Those were not. There's only one on this one. Hidden muscles. Huh, I'll have to check into that one more. When was the last time anyone had hiccups? I haven't for a few years now. I have not had hiccups for maybe a year. Ironically, people around me getting a ton of hiccups, though. My friend gets hiccups often. This one girl I was just talking to got hiccups last week, so I don't know. That's the area that's killing me under the left rib. Keep going to get that checked. Yeah, I had we talked about last week the bottom, like under my butt, away from the um away from the backbone, more like under those loop parts of the hips was hurting, and that was really sore for like a week. And then it kind of moved up to the sides of my hips, and then it kind of moved up to my lower back was hurting for a day or two. And then like yesterday the middle back was sore, which I almost never have, and that's right around these funky that's right around here. So now it's kind of dialed back. It's not hurting that much. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question about the hiccups though. I haven't got them, but I'm still seeing them around. But yeah, just keep asking those kind of questions. No, they are a huge tongue-like structure. I think I found them now, Andella. All right. All right, all right. So, interesting. I did the melted stuff. Okay. I have to have something creepy. Here we go. I covered teratomas a while back. Teratomas are, those have been around a while, but they've gotten more and more creepy. They're basically a tumor that grows from a particular cell, and the tumors sometimes grow teeth and hair in them. And I pointed out a couple weeks back that some of them even have partially grown feet in them. The teeth are now kind of in a line. They've gotten a lot more, you know, just more science fictiony looking, um, like little creatures or something. So I just had looked into that quite a bit, and then I ran into another one this week. Fetiform teritoma. They call it a homunculus. Now, a homunculus in my old timeline wasn't a real thing. It was just kind of a concept, like a little miniature version of a human or something that it was something on sci-fi or anime. It wasn't a real thing, but now we have a thing that really is called a homunculus, and it's the fetiform teratoma. So a fetiform teratoma grows. Um, it grows often out of like the egg area of women. So basically, it's like a tumor that grows out of an egg that's in a woman. So and then it grows, and there was these examples of it that it grew like a little subhuman, like half. It's like basically it was like a little kind of baby or something, resembling a malformed fetus. So basically, a fetiform structure. It's like I don't want to say it, okay, but a fetiform structure is a teratoma resembling a malformed fetus. So it's not fetus and fetu, because fetus and fetu is when there's two fetuses in the womb, and they somehow merge, and then one of them gets inside the other. But they were their own separate fetuses originally. So a fetiform or fetiform tumor is basically like you grow this almost fetus just out of a tumor. It's a tumor that looks like a fetus, but it was not a separate fetus in the womb with you ever. Um, so, with all reported cases of fetiform teratoma are composed of mature tissue present within placental or trophoblastic tissue. So basically, what it's barking up towards is what do you call that thing again? My brain wants to cover this, but it doesn't. Parthenogenesis. We've seen that in snakes and all kinds of lizards and all kinds of animals now. Basically, the female can reproduce a copy of itself. It can make an egg somehow become a full fetus and have and some of them now even are managing to scramble around the DNA so that they're not clones. So that was not the case in my old timeline. It was impossible. I've been waiting to see when we're going to basically, I mean, if a female now, a female human could have a child without the father, that's basically immaculate conception. And we've got immaculate conception in all kinds of animals now. This is the closest I've seen yet now to it being in humans, is these creepy teritoma things. All right, and so I also ran into this. Spontaneous parthenogenetic and androgenetic events. Interesting, they said androgenetic. So basically, androgenetic would be if a man had somehow made a offspring without the woman, and that's starting to show up too in some of the animals. Okay, so spontaneous parthenogenetic and androgenetic events occur in humans, but they result in tumors. The ovarian teritoma and the halitrephes mole and the halitrephes mole. I don't even remember reading that when I last looked this up, respectively. However, the observation of fetiform ovarian teratomas, the serendipitous identification of several chimeric human parthenodes and andronodes in the last 2 decades, along with the creation of viable bimaternal mice in the laboratory, raises the question of whether natural cases of clinically healthy human parthenodes have gone unnoticed to science. Here we present a hypothesis based on 3 elements to support the existence of such elusive individuals. All right, so their argument is basically that there may have already been cases of parthenogenesis in humans, and they were born, and people just assumed there was a father somewhere, and there never was. All right, so he's putting forth this argument based on some of the other stuff. And then there's this one, an extraordinary intricate case of parthenogenic event resulting in viable male baby. Now, in this case, there was an actual regular fertilization involved in it, and then a spontaneously activated oocyte, which is like another. So basically, there was a natural baby, and then an egg spontaneously activated near it, and then they combined and created a chimeric baby because it was a combination of 2 different fetuses, but one of the fetus was a spontaneous parthenogenesis and the other was natural, and they combined and made a living human that was reasonably healthy, had some minor defects. So it was like almost a parthenogenesis. This was not there even like a month ago when I was looking into this. So they're barking up the parthenogenesis in humans tree here very hard. I think it's only going to be a matter of time where they're going to say, oh, there's always been parthenogenesis in humans. We just never noticed. We never realized. I think it's coming. It's coming very soon. Very weird. So it's going to be like Bible stuff, you know, immaculate conception. There's some freak on YouTube who grew what he called a homunculus. Yeah, I looked at that. I just can't see any proof that it was real is all. Teeth in a tumor. Yeah, silver E55. Look up teritoma. Teratoma. That actually has been around in a while for the last 10 years for me. Tumors with teeth and hair. See, what I've noticed lately is there'll be rows of teeth. There just used to be one or two teeth all randomly all over the place. I mean, it was already creepy enough that something as delineated as a tooth grew, but now they're lining up. There's a foot. I covered this a while back. Bit of venom. Yeah, they're, I'm sure that the parthenogenesis will be first, but it looks like they're even talking about. See, for parthenogenesis, you could say, look, this one egg somehow activated and became a fetus. And women already have all of the mechanisms there to support that kind of a fetus. I think it'll be a while before we'll see it in men, though. Leonard Skinner is no longer from Alabama. Yeah, I didn't know that one well enough, but I wouldn't be surprised. Chimeras are a lot more common now also. Only just heard of chimeras about 6 years ago. That was that cat. It started with that cat. Dual genetic info. Yeah, chimera. What will this do to the story of Jesus? Yeah, it's not going to be that weird. Immaculate conception won't be that weird then if they just say, oh, it happens sometimes. We're likely soon to have small tumor people running around. Well, maybe we already, I think they're going to say that we already have tumor people. You just didn't realize they were tumor people because they just look normal. I mean, once you go down that route, they were always here. You just didn't know about it because nobody did any genetic testing. All right, so human parthenogenesis. I think it's in the oven, so to speak. Got that one. All right, this is kind of a small one. Nuremberg trials. The city of Nuremberg. All right. For me, that was Nuremberg. There was no M in there. It was Nuremberg. The city of Nuremberg. And interestingly, apparently in German, it still is Nuremberg. It's Nuremberg with an N. So, like the trials, the Nazi trials were in Nuremberg for me with an N. Nuren. I think it might have been Burg also for me. I'm a little suspicious on the Berg, but I'm sure that there was a freaking N there. But now it's always been with an M for America. But in German, it's Nuremberg. Nurnberg. I don't speak German, but I think you're supposed to pronounce that U like U, Nuremberg, something like that. So it would make sense if it was Nuremberg in English because they have an N in it. But apparently here it's always been Nuremberg. I'm having trouble even saying it. Beats me. But I don't remember this either. I don't remember this German. I remember with an extra syllable, that way we say it. Nuremberg. Not Nuremberg either. But anyway, weird word. Should be Nuremberg. Nuremberg. Never heard of the inner German border wall. It was the Berlin Wall. Yeah, it was a Berlin Wall. Well, Berlin is in a whole nother spot now. That whole thing. That's kind of a well-covered ME, though, but yeah. Nuremberg. Okay, so Bit of Venom remembers Nuremberg. Nuremberg. It was not Nuremberg. For me, it was N-U-R-E-N. Now it's an M. I don't know what it was in German before. I just know in English it was with an N also. It's Nuremberg in German. Yeah, I don't know. In my timeline, they said it like the Germans, I guess. I only recently ever saw this M in there. I'm like, what? First I thought it was they were talking about like another city, but then they were saying that the Nazi trials happened there. So I'm like, nope, that's the same city then. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know what to say. All right, Nuremberg should be. If I was mispronouncing it, why would I mispronounce it the exact happened to be the way the Germans mispronounced it? Not like I ever took German or listened to any Germans talking about it. I've talked a lot about the muscle structures being much more extreme in this timeline. Ran into something here. There's just so many things now. Image. Ah, so tiny, so tiny. Let me see if I can find a bigger one. The stuff that the athletes have now, varicose veins like this, apparently rather common for professional bicycle riders. No, you know, the muscles are so much more veiny, and that's just creepy. All right, so these are bicycle rider legs. No, it wasn't like that. I'm sorry. No, that's not right. Cyclist legs during season. That's what I'm trying to get to here. No, that's just not how they looked before. I'm sorry. No. So that's how bicycle riders during bicycle riding season, if they're professional ones, apparently that's what their legs look like now. Yeah, the veins are... No, they just didn't have all that. I've never seen anything like that. Even if you go back to the old weightlifters now, you'll see that stuff. Same with that thing where they can like suck in their stomach, you know. We didn't have that before. I searched a year ago and wondered why it's Nuremberg in English. Yeah, I don't know. It was always Nuremberg for me. I've never seen that M before. Never saw it. I thought that was like the leggings some people buy to look like muscles. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, like, gross. Let's see how the knee looks. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could just type some more. I may regret this, but let's see what other images show up. So yeah, see, look, there's a lot of them like that now. The knees don't look as bad. This is pretty weird. I mean, if that's how it was, how come we don't see more? I don't know. Yet most of them look normal, but then you read these and they say that this is normal too. So which one is it? That guy looks all right. Maybe they're just saying this guy's not a professional, this guy's a professional. But, you know, you see these professionals on their bikes all the time, Tour de France, and you just didn't see this. You didn't see it. You didn't used to see it like that. You shouldn't be just seeing it now after I'm almost 50 years old. I'm sorry, but no, it's not right. Not right. All right. Okay. All right. Now, I've talked a lot about giraffes are way more buffed and bad in this timeline. Basically, you can they can take a human and they'll be all right. So this guy's got a small one. He's been training this giraffe to take his weight. So apparently, see, my old timeline, they said if you rode a giraffe, you'd injure it. But in this timeline, apparently not. They seem like they can handle it pretty well, actually. But, you know, they can, they've got these studly necks where they can slam people dead, and they kick butt in this timeline. They really do. This is not even an adult giraffe, and he's riding the freaking things. And it's fine. So, it looks to me like there wouldn't be any reason why you couldn't do it in this timeline. So this chick's riding it. Here's the thing. This one is not used to being ridden. She just hops on it. It handles it. And then finally it's like, sayonara, lady. And it flaps her off. But at first it's really calm. I mean, if you just plunked your butt on a horse suddenly without any training, he would totally freak out and kick your butt all over the universe. But this guy just kind of hangs out for a bit, and then he's like, I'm sick of this crap. So I think we're going to see giraffe riding as more of a thing in the near future. So there's a clip on here where some doofus climbs up onto this giraffe. So this giraffe's never been ridden, but it's really quite friendly, and he jumps on it, and it just kind of hangs out for a bit. And it doesn't even look that upset. I mean, it's not trying to bite him or anything. And then eventually this giraffe decides he's done, and he'll pop him off of there. But look at how long he just sits on there before the giraffe finally decides it's finished with this baloney. Look at how long. It's not even spooked. It's like, nah. So this guy supposedly illegally climbed this fence and jumped on this giraffe. And supposedly this giraffe has not been ridden. And look at how long he stays on. Look at how long. Finally, the giraffe is like done. So this clip goes on for a while. I hope I didn't just play way too much of it, because I probably did. He gets back on. The giraffe lets him, doesn't run off. I mean, like if it was a horse and you jumped on it and it flipped you off, it's not going to come back and say hi again in 10 seconds. But this giraffe lets him climb back on. He goes on again for a while, and then the giraffe boots him off again finally. And when the giraffe boots him off, he happens to smack his head on one of these poles, so he decides not to do it again. But the giraffe did not try to bite him, did not kick him. It just kind of punts him off a little. So very weird. I think we're going to see some giraffe riding in the near future. Oh, and if you're talking about keto diet for health, I've done that. It didn't really kill the fatigue, unfortunately. You'll definitely lose weight on keto diet, but it did not fix the tired. If you want to eat weight, you have to eat fat. It works. It does work, but I did not kill the fatigue off with it. The oaf on that giraffe looks ridiculous and too heavy for it. See, that's the weird thing. There's no talk about injuring the giraffe. Even that little baby giraffe was able to take a person. I mean, you think about it, they're way bigger than a horse. And in this timeline, they're totally studly. They'll kick butt. So I think in this timeline, maybe there'd be no problem. In the old timeline, I think you'd break it. But you know the things they do with their necks, they slam their necks. They kick butt in this timeline. They're way more tough. Kangaroos look like that now too. Plume, yes. Yes, kangaroos are freaky now. They are just freaky looking. I mean, they used to just be, oh, they're a dangerous animal because any animal basically could kick the butt of a human. But now they really, you know, you used to see those jokes about kangaroos boxing like on a cartoon. But they really are like these giant buff boxer beasts now. They are very creepy now. Right, let's see. Okay, this is another one I've been wondering about. All right, let's see. Where does it start? I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. This is something I kind of remember. I'll have to get through this advertisement, I guess. Skip ad. All right, here we go. Now, I think it was about 10 years ago or so, I saw the first dogs on skateboards. And they would stand on the skateboard and somebody would push the skateboard. At no point did I ever see a dog that would do the pushing for itself. Like they didn't get it. But then the last few years, dogs are doing the pushing. They get the whole skateboard thing. They aren't just standing on, they're hanging on. They're pushing, getting the skateboard started, and they're steering the sucker. All right. So I wondered if that was ME related or just people train their dogs better. So now we have a cat. Boomer the cat also gets his own pushing started. He'll actually get off of that sucker and he'll push it. Let's see if I can find one now. So this putter, he will actually get there and he'll get it started and then he'll jump back on. You just saw it. Boom. All right, so we've got cats that know how to skateboard now. And I can't swear it's an ME, but I am really suspicious. And we've definitely seen that animals are way smarter in this timeline. So we got skateboarder putties. All right. And this is the last one, and it is the thumbnail one. So first I'm going to ask you a question. Some of you may, if you've been keeping up on the latest thing, know the answer. But I think, and if you have heard the latest answer, don't answer. But in your timeline, as you recall, what was the largest desert in the world? Name the largest desert in the world. This cat is smarter than me. I can't skateboard. You know what? If I had 4 legs, I probably would be a lot better skateboarder, to be honest. It's not that you don't know how to skateboard. It's a balance issue. We all know how to skateboard. That doesn't mean we can do it. Same reason the little kitties and the little puppies are way better at climbing mountains than me. They've got 4-wheel drive, basically. Macho kangaroos gross me out. Yep. Anyway, so you guys let me know what's... And no Googling. Googling is not allowed, I might add. You have to do it from the memory. You know the drill. If you Googled it, no cheating. Male kangaroo. The males are the most creepy, but if anybody hasn't been keeping up with the creep-tastic, every time I look, they're worsely creepy. All right, so here they are. Look at that thing. They're getting more creepy. Look at this one. That doesn't even, that looks totally mute. They got red necks now sometimes, like some kind of redneck. It's got to be some kind of giant ME joke. I mean, this guy, look at this. This is not Photoshop. That's what he looks like. Look at that thing. It's just like, no, that is just so wrong. Look at that. It's so wrong. Just in case anybody hasn't been keeping up with the weird. There you go. All right, so does anybody remember where the largest desert was? Sahara. Yes, that's what I would have said. Iran had the biggest desert in the world. Interesting. Sahara. China. Good guess. Da-da-da. So either people who heard it are keeping their mouths shut. Mongolia. Interesting. Or nobody's heard it yet. Da-da-da. Don't trust Google. Was deaf in Africa. Are you going to tell us the largest desert now in Scotland? Worse than that. Gobi, or was it Sahara? Sahara. Yeah, I would have totally said Sahara. That was what I would have said. Okay, well. The largest desert in the world now. Yes, you're getting it, Silver E55. It's Antarctica. The largest desert in the world is Antarctica. Because now both of the poles are polar deserts. You know, it used to snow in the poles for me. The largest desert in the world. So they're saying that Sahara is the largest non-polar desert in the world. And so it's going to depend. Actually, this is weird because the last time I looked, I'm going to have to add polar. The last time I did this search, I came up with the polar deserts immediately. Antarctic polar desert. This time I did the search and it didn't come up immediately, but it is the largest. The two largest deserts on the Earth are in the polar areas. The Antarctic polar desert covers the continent of Antarctica and has a size of 5.5 million square miles. The second largest is the Arctic polar desert. So they're saying that, like, the poles get very little precipitation, and so that's why they're deserts. I mean, in my old timeline, it would snow there fairly often, and snow would build up, and then the snow would get mushed down, and it would become glaciers, and the snow fed the glaciers. But apparently here it hardly snows. A desert is a landscape or region that receives very little precipitation, less than 250 millimeter per year, about 10 inches. Approximately 1/3 of Earth's land surface is desert. There are 4 different types of deserts: polar, subtropical, cold winter deserts, and cool coastal deserts. All right, so these polar deserts are the largest ones. This is another trip, is that if you look at areas in the poles now, this is something I saw about 2 years ago. There's big areas that don't have any freaking snow on them. That never was the case before for me. So here's an Antarctic polar desert. There's just these chunks of no snow. It's like the snow, that's not one though. Polar deserts, exploring the most. So there's Svalbard, is part of the polar desert business. So, yeah, there's big chunks now finding life in the polar desert, and big chunks even in winter. They're saying it's so dry up here that they don't get any snow. And the only reason there's any snow here is because it just stays there forever. Even though it hardly dropped any precipitation, it doesn't disappear. So the Canadian Arctic right here. So basically the snow is kind of going away. I've really noticed that on Canada. It used to be very white, always colored very white. I've seen it's getting greener and greener. Barren open polar deserts. Boom, boom, boom. Murchison Fjord, Nordaustland. Okay, Svalbard again. Many of us don't remember Svalbard existing, and the seed banks were in Canada, but here the seed bank is in Svalbard. When I first saw Svalbard, it was one island. Now it's a cluster of islands. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's the same thing that was on my thumbnail, but I guess from a slightly different angle. What was on my thumbnail is the last thing that I want to cover. I've been meaning to mention this one for a while. Well, part of this one. On my thumbnail, you saw those weird circular formations. They're saying that those circular formations, that was actually a polar desert that you were looking at. That thumbnail was actually again in Svalbard. And those are supposedly caused by cryoturbation, which is another word for frost churning. Refers to a mixing of materials from various horizons of the soil down to the bedrock due to freezing and thawing. So basically they're saying it freezes and thaws and freezes and thaws, and somehow this sorts out the soil types into patterns, even all the way down to the bedrock, and it's called cryoturbation. Now, this is something I wanted to bring up for a while now. The concept of the permafrost and the tundra. The frozen tundra. I used to always see the tundra or the permafrost. It was ice. Permanent frost. Permafrost. It was just hard all the time. And then we started to hear, oh my God, some of the permafrost is melting because it's not cold enough. But it was permafrost. It was permanent frost. If it was melting, that was due to abnormal weather. But apparently now, permafrost are called jellysols, and this cryoturbation is from freezing and thawing. Well, in my old timeline, the permafrost was permanent frost. It did not thaw. There was no cryoturbation because there was no freaking thawing. So now everywhere apparently freezes and thaws. You hardly have any snow, and you get this cryoturbation. And this timeline loves to have weird patterns everywhere. You're seeing these freaking weird growth patterns in plants, spotty things now from the frost churning. The permafrost is no longer permanent frost. The tundra has green grass and crap growing on it. Tundra used to be like an icy tundra. That was it. Repeating in soil during autumn causes formation of ice wedges. Ice wedges is a crack in the ground formed by a narrow or thin piece of ice that measures 3 to 4 meters in length at ground level and extends downwards into the ground up to several meters. During the winter months, the water in the ground freezes and expands, and I guess now they're saying that it then defrosts in the summer. Ooh, that one's an interesting. I should have put that one up. Check that out. That's cool. A melting pingo with surrounding ice wedge polygons near Tuktoyaktuk, Canada. Neat. Anyway, yeah, no, we didn't have all that cool stuff in my old timeline. Ice wedge exposed by erosion. Interesting. Anyway, so the permanent permafrost is not permanent frost. You've got cryoturbation, and the tundra is not icy anymore. All right, someone needs to get the boot here. Oh, I think I see the problem. Doop, doop, doop. We will take care of you. Dark Wolves is one, but I don't think he's in. Doink. There. I think we got it now. Permafrost. Yeah, next thing you know, permafrost is going to have to do with cats or something. Yeah, dark wolves. You know, I should give some more people Yeah, good idea. Got him. He's gone. I think from what I see, all of his, let me just, sorry, I should have done this a long time ago. Boink. All right, Shari, you do now have moderator status, which I think means you could take care of it next time. You're here a lot, so you're perfect for that. You are now nominated. Dark Wolf's Den also has it, but he's yeah, he's not here every second, and he's got stuff to do too, so it's good to have more than one. Never look away. that's all right. So I think that's it. Cryoturbation. There's so many words to learn here, and sometimes I learn them and then they change later. Like parthenogenesis is now parthenogenesis. I have to keep remembering not to say the first way I learned. Permafrost has to do with cats. Yes, permafrost. Cats with giant hands. The polydactyl cats. Boot event, boot me. Try out your new powers. No, because you know what? I don't know how to undo boot people. So anyway, I'm just giving it to a couple people who hear all the time, and I really know them. So. Actually, you should probably get one too. I'm putting a couple people on now. People are here a ton. All right, there's a couple more now. Polycat. Therian has a polycat. You know, they had like cats with extra toes before, but they didn't have like the. You're seeing them now like with these giant mitts. They don't just have one little toe on the edge. They have like this giant split hand mitt thing. It's weird. Permafrost is when your kitty won't purr because they are mad. You know, my current one, if he thinks you're mad, he'll purr. So if he did something really bad and then you stomp over there and you're pissed, and then he'll purr at you. He's such a little stinker. He's like, oh, you can't be mad if I purr. He is such a wily little kitty. Then he'll look at you, oh, I'm so cute and I'm purring. I really have to. I think with the wrench you can just, you can put people on timeout. You can make their posts all hidden. I think that's it. Let me see what. I don't think I can even do much more. I can hide them on the channel. You can report them. I think anybody could report them. Put them in a timeout. Remove. Hide. I think that's all you could do. I don't know. you seen the cat video of cats talking? I've seen videos of them making sounds that sound like words, like dogs do I love you and stuff. I haven't heard them really. I mean, definitely it sounds like cats have certain tones that they use and they mean certain things, but... Oh, you can ban people. All right, anyways, it's 1:50. Hey, it's less than 2 hours. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. I think I got everything. You guys added a few things, always helpful. Yes, that's it. All right, I think it's time for me to hit the road, guys. My cat just done having a pouting session. He was mad at me for petting the newer cat. How dare you cheat on him? Well, cats just, you know, they're kind of like people. They just get in a mood sometimes, too, so. But I think it is time for me to hit the road. Let's see. I think I just got the one magical. All right. Let's see if I can find it in less than an hour this time. All right, I quit. I can't remember how I did it last time. But yes, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it greatly. And I think it's time for me to hit the road. I don't know if you guys ever organized your UK chat. Cats are shifty. Yep, yep. That's for sure. All right, I'm really leaving. So this is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline. Thank you so much for coming.